the UFC only pays its fighters like 10% of its income, whereas like in the NBA and NFL, the athletes get paid 50% of the total income. So like this is a massive discrepancy. They don't have health insurance, all of these things. They don't have health insurance, all of these things. And so I just started simply speaking on it, and it became this massive thing between me and Dana White where we just constantly were beefing back and forth for years. But genuinely, I was just like, hey man, you're paying these fighters a minimum of $12,000 for a fight. They're risking their lives. Why not just increase it to $50,000? You're gonna make the sport better because they're gonna take it more.
When Jake Paul called out Dana White for underpaying fighters, not many inside the UFC had the courage to speak up. But now, a massive bombshell of betrayal and scandal has exploded, and it's forcing UFC stars to rise up against their own boss. The revolt has already begun. The empire is starting to crack. Dana White is the problem. That's not a random fan tweet or a drunken fight night post. Those are the words fighters themselves are whispering behind closed doors. And a few are finally bold enough to say them out loud. This isn't about a few missing bonuses or a controversial decision anymore. This is about a growing, organized, and dangerously quiet rebellion from the very people Dana White depends on most, his fighters. Because while the world sees Dana as the brilliant promoter, the maverick businessman who saved MMA, what they don't see is the empire of exploitation built behind the Octagon. And now, the warriors who helped build that empire are finally saying enough is enough. And in this expose, you'll hear the most shocking quote yet. A UFC champion, on camera, admitting that Dana White doesn't give a damn about us. These weren't just empty words from a YouTuber turned boxer. This was the spark that ignited a wildfire across the MMA world. Fighters who once stayed loyal suddenly found their voices, and the most unlikely person had become their megaphone. What they began revealing was nothing short of shocking. At first, Jake Paul's attacks were brushed off as trolling, a publicity stunt. But the truth was, he was saying what UFC athletes had been too afraid to admit: that fighters are earning poverty-level wages while risking their lives every time they step into the cage. No long-term health insurance, no retirement plan, and in some cases, no guarantee of being paid at all, unless they played by Dana White's rules. Let that sink in. This isn't about one bad contract or a couple of missed bonuses. This is about a system designed to drain its fighters and call it promotion. Men and women stepping into a cage for $12,000 to take punches, kicks, and brain trauma, while the UFC rakes in billions every year. You think that's sustainable? Not a chance. And fighters are finally starting to realize it. Look at Max Holloway, a fan favorite, a warrior in every sense of the word. He stepped into his last fight with Dustin Poirier, gave fans one of the most emotional wars in years, and still walked out feeling betrayed. Not because he lost, he won, but because he didn't get fight of the night, and he knew exactly why.
The only thing I've really asked for is for the minimum fighter pay, which is $12,500, to be changed to $50,000, so that if fighters who have to work multiple jobs, if they fight once a year even, they would still be able to live off of that. And if it was twice a year, they'd make $100,000, which is great. So, but now if they're fighting once a year, it's like $12,500, or twice a year would be $25,000. So that's been my only ask to Dana to change, and that would only cost the UFC $20 million annually. So it seems like, oh, you made $3-4 billion. Why not just give a little bit more to the fighters? It's only $20 million. That's been my biggest thing of like, make that change and I'll shut the fuck up. But yeah, it's definitely like, I could talk about all the intricate details about this shit all day long, but it's like, definitely when I started talking about this, that's when Dana White was like, oh, Jake Paul does steroids, Jake Paul does fights are rigged, Jake Paul this, Jake Paul that. So he's the one that like started all the personal rumors. Jake Paul doesn't sell, Jake Paul won't fight Anderson Silva. Like, he's been the biggest voice of oppression to me, because I'm the only one literally in the whole entire fight business who can talk back to him, or there's probably 4 people who can, but I'm the only one who has the balls to do it.
What you're describing is very similar to your
Yeah. Yeah.
During a recent interview, Ngannou didn't hold back when asked about Dana White's claims over fighter money. With his trademark calm but cutting tone, the former champ fired, "Which money is he talking about? The money that he owes me?" That one line exploded across social media, a direct shot at the UFC boss, hinting that behind all the talk of contracts and negotiations, there's still unfinished business between Ngannou and the promotion that made him a star. But for Ngannou, this isn't just about paychecks, it's about principle. In another interview with MMA Fighting, he laid it bare. "It's not simply money. I don't feel like I'm a free man. I don't feel like I have been treated good." Those words hit harder than any punch. It's a rare glimpse into what top fighters really feel. The frustration of giving everything inside the octagon while feeling restricted outside of it. For years, the UFC has been criticized for tight contracts and a lack of leverage for fighters, and Ngannou's comments brought that tension to the surface. That revelation stunned fans and fighters alike. It showed that walking away from the UFC, once seen as career suicide, might actually be a new path to freedom and financial success. Ngannou proved it's possible to bet on yourself and win. For many fighters still under contract, his words echo like a warning shot. Ngannou's stance isn't just rebellion, it's a statement. He's showing that the power dynamic in MMA is shifting. The message is clear. If the UFC won't pay fighters their worth, someone else will. And for Dana White, that message may be the loudest one yet. Because when a former champion, a global name, and one of the UFC's most terrifying knockout artists says, "Enough," the whole fight world listens. After Dana White claimed that Ngannou would have made more money if he stayed in the UFC, the Predator didn't hesitate to clap back. Speaking to reporters, Ngannou said, "Everything that I left the UFC for, every single thing, I have had more, way more, everything, name it." Ngannou made it clear. His move to boxing wasn't a mistake. He says he's earned more freedom, more respect, and yes, a lot more money than he ever saw in the Octagon. It's another sharp reminder that the former heavyweight champ didn't just walk away from the UFC. He walked toward a better deal on his terms. And with big boxing paydays behind him, Francis Ngannou's message to Dana White is loud and clear. He's not looking back.
Dana White making these comments the other day saying that the idea that you made more in boxing, that's not true. Do you have any response to that?
I don't take anything from Dana White as a credit. Things that he said a lot of time cannot make sense. Everything that I left the UFC for, every single thing, I have had more, way more. This day, I fight because I love fighting. I don't fight because I need to pay bills or because I need to pay debt. I can just say, okay, I'm out and I'll be good.
After capturing UFC gold, most fighters talk about legacy, glory, or the next challenger. But not Khamzat Chimaev. In true Boers fashion, his post-fight message wasn't about the title, it was about the paycheck. Standing in front of Dana White, the undefeated star didn't hold back. With a grin, he said to the cameras, "Get my money, Dana, send my money, brother. I am waiting for that more than that SC belt." That line instantly went viral. It wasn't just another post-fight celebration, it was a statement. Chimaev made it clear that even for a champion, the title isn't enough. What matters most is respect, recognition, and fair compensation. In another interview with MMA Mania, he doubled down. "I need money, bro. This is not enough, just to go for the one title." Those words hit hard in a sport where fighter pay has become one of the biggest talking points. Chimaev's blunt honesty reflects what many fighters feel but rarely say out loud. The belt may shine under the lights, but behind the scenes it doesn't pay the bills. And the fact that he said it directly in front of Dana White? That's bold. It's a public challenge, one that highlights growing frustration even among the UFC's biggest stars. For years, fighters have whispered about unfair pay and long contracts. Now, stars like Chimaev are saying it on camera. The message is simple. Prestige doesn't replace payment. Khamzat Chimaev might be smiling when he says it, but underneath that grin is a fighter demanding his worth. And when that demand is made right in front of Dana White, you know the tension in the room is real.
Er ist am Ende in der letzten Minute ein bisschen müde geworden. Da war die Luft raus.
Send my money, brother. I'm waiting for that war and that shit belt. Well, belt is important for my country.
Wusstest du, dass er über 4 Sprachen spricht? Schwedisch, Englisch, Russisch, Russisch. Und vielleicht kann er bald auch noch irgendwie... Wer weiß.
In a recent appearance on All the Smoke, Diaz opened up about his long, rocky relationship with Dana White and the business side of the fight game. And in classic Nate Diaz fashion, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. Diaz made it clear that the system, not the fighters, has been holding people back. He said fighters are out there risking everything inside the octagon, but the paychecks don't always match the danger or the dedication. According to Nate, the UFC is getting rich, but the fighters doing the work aren't seeing their fair share. For years, Diaz has been one of the loudest voices against the pay structure, calling out the company for underpaying athletes while profiting from their star power. He's said it before. Everyone's getting paid but the fighters. And on this show, he doubled down, saying it's time for change and time for fighters to know their worth. Nate also took aim at Dana White directly, saying that while Dana built a billion-dollar empire, he's done it off the backs of fighters who don't always get the respect or freedom they deserve. And that, according to Diaz, is why he chose to walk away, to prove that he can make money and control his own career without the UFC. It's a bold statement from a man who's lived it. From fighting Conor McGregor to headlining massive pay-per-views, Diaz has seen both sides, the fame and the frustration. Now he's using his platform to push a message that's resonating across MMA. Fighters deserve more. So while Dana White may call him a headache, Nate Diaz just calls himself free. Free to fight, free to speak, and free to show the world that no fighter should have to beg for what they've already earned. And once again, the Stockton Slugger isn't just throwing punches in the cage, he's throwing them straight at the UFC's business model.
I think he's paying a lot of people a lot of money, more than the boxing. Like everyone says, boxing has the highest paid.
Big fights.
Like if you think about as far as combat sports, like boxing has paid the highest paid fighters a lot more than the UFC has. But the UFC, I think, pays a lot more people a lot of money.
Thanks for watching. For more UFC news, fighter updates, and behind-the-scenes insights, stay tuned to Octagon HQ. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a fight.